Hey there, it's Lacy J from Space Bear Media, the makers of Lost in My 40s. Did you know that Space Bear Media also has a YouTube page where you can go to watch a video pre-show before every podcast episode? If you haven't watched it yet, stop, go there, do so, and then come back. Hello, welcome back to Lost in My 40s. It is episode 14. It's called Special.
Well, isn't that special?
And it's a Michael and Walt episode. Christy is going to give it to us, but first, Ben. Oh, actually, first, I did want to mention that episode 14 appears to be the episode that the ending shocked me more than the one a few weeks ago when I didn't remember the hatch. I also didn't remember this ending and literally screamed when it happened. So we'll get there shortly, but now, first, Ben, power rankings.
Well, last week we didn't see a whole lot of movement. We still got Kate sitting at the top of the pack with Shannon. She lost some ground last week, and she is now probably stuck in the bottom forever. We've got Locke and Jack rounding out the top three, and we still got Sawyer and Michael in the bottom three. My hope is that through this episode, Michael might be able to extricate himself from the bottom of the barrel.
I have a feeling it may happen that way. Okay, Christy, what's happening in this episode?
All right. Well, the episode opens on Michael's eye because they keep doing that. It's day 26, and he's walking through the jungle calling for Walt. I don't know what it is with these kids in these TV shows that they can just never be where they're supposed to be.
Did you just say these kids in these TV shows? That's a nice fucking geriatric moment you're having.
Oh my God, yeah.
Kids in these shows.
Well, like Michael is always screaming for Walt, and in The Walking Dead, you know, he's
Coral.
So, yeah, stay in the fucking house, Coral.
Right, it's these kids. It's
right.
These kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're old. Yeah, so, you know, he's running through the jungle calling for Walt, and he runs into Charlie, and Charlie's looking for Claire's bags, and both of them are like, no, I don't know. And then they just walk away from each other.
It's a funny scene because Charlie's like, have you seen Claire's bags? And Michael's, have you seen Walt? Have you seen Claire's bags? Have you seen Walt? Neither one would listen to the other. It was
They don't even answer
funny.
Each other and then just walk away. It's crazy.
It was pretty funny.
So Michael then runs into Jack, who says, you know, I think Walt's in the caves. And Michael was like, no, he took Vincent for a walk and now he's missing, blah, blah, blah. Then Michael asked Jack, you know, did you obey your father when you were 10? And Jack kind of laughed and was like, yeah, maybe a little too much.
Which we've learned already.
Yeah, exactly. So now Hurley joins and he's like, hey, we're having a golf tournament. We're going to play for the last of the deodorant sticks. Do you guys want to play? And Michael's like, no, I have to find Walt. And he just kind of moves on.
Did Hurley call them dogs in that scene? I thought I remember him saying something like, hey, dogs, something about playing golf. And I don't know if I heard it incorrectly or if he actually said,
he
hey,
might
dogs.
have. Could it have been dudes?
Possible.
Maybe now I have to go back and see if he actually said, hey, dogs. You know, considering the time that this was airing.
Yeah, I thought it wouldn't
American
surprise
Idol.
me.
Wasn't American Idol? Who's the one judge called everybody dog?
yeah,
it was
yeah.
It was part
little
of
pitchy dog.
Yes, exactly. So it was like part of the pulp culture.
It's a no for me, dog.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was trying to
exactly.
say pop culture, but anyways, so he might have just because of that. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
No, he said, yo, okay, here's the actual transcript. Yo, dudes.
Oh, it
Okay.
was dudes. Okay,
All
all right.
Okay, yeah. So then Hurley looks at Jack and he's like, he seems to hate it, doesn't he? Being a dad. And Jack's like, it's a lot of work. Michael's running off through the jungle yelling for Walt, and Hurley laughs and he's like, no, he hates it.
Yeah, that's a cute moment.
It really is, because Hurley's like, no, he hates being a dad. It's so stupid. So, but now we're following Michael through the jungle and he's screaming for Walt, and then ominous music begins to play. And then we go into a flashback, and where he's saying, this is the one. And he's in like a baby section of a store and standing in front of this really ridiculous
gaudy
crib. Yeah. It's so fancy. And he's like, no, this is definitely my baby's crib. And then you see a pregnant woman and she's looking at the price tag and she's like, nope, this is 3 months rent. He's like, I want the best for our son. So I'm going to take a break from my art career. And I'm going to take a job.
Another artist.
Yes. Isn't this funny?
Jesus.
Like there's two artist dads, one who is going to leave, the art happily, I guess, to take care of his kid, and the other one who just like cut out of there. It's strange that it's the similar, or maybe it's planned, who knows,
Yeah, but Michael's a stand-up guy, so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go into construction while you're in law school, and then one day you'll be rich and you'll take care of me and Walt. And then she's like, oh, Walt, huh? He's like, yeah, I want to name the baby after my dad. So she says Walter Lloyd, and that's when Michael says, oh, so that's why I don't want to get married. So he has your last name. And now it kind of seems like Michael really wants to get married and she kind of doesn't.
Yeah. And do you think, knowing at the end of the episode, do you think it was always her plan to just like use him to get through law school and then take off?
I don't think so. I think
you don't think so?
No, I think that they were really in love and then they fell out of love.
I got the feeling he was a sperm donor.
Yep, exactly.
You both think so? It's interesting.
Yeah.
I questioned it. I'm not entirely sure where I would fall on that, but it definitely crossed my mind that this was all just kind of her plan.
Yeah.
All right, I guess Christy has more faith in Susan.
Yeah, she does.
And let me just throw it out there. I know it's very explicitly ridiculous, but 3 months of wages for a fucking crib.
Well,
you only want the best for your baby. Maybe you want your baby to eat. I'm thinking food's probably more important than bling on their fucking crib.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. Not wrong.
Yeah. The crib was stupid.
You said the crib ends up having like spinners and rims and everything on it.
Maybe their rent was like $400 a month or something.
That's true. He is an artist, so it's like 3 months' wages. That's $15.
Not in New York. Not that apartment. In New York.
Right. Meanwhile, when we do get to their apartment, that doesn't look like
it doesn't.
No, 3 months rent in that apartment. You buy a car is what it looks like.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
Yeah. So we're back on the island. Walt's in the jungle with Locke and Boone. And he throws a knife. Walt throws a knife at a tree and it just kind of bounces off. And he's like, I suck. So Locke points to like a specific knot on the tree. And he's like, I want you to focus and use your mind's eye and see yourself throwing it before you do it. So there's this like moment where you can see that Walt is really concentrating hard, and then he throws the knife and it goes exactly into the spot where Locke pointed at. And Boone's like, whoa.
He's very Joey Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that moment, it was, totally.
Yes, for you youngins out there, just go ahead and Google Blossom. And you can figure out what we're talking about. All right.
Joey was adorable. Anyway, so Walt is like really excited. Locke's happy for Walt. And then Michael shows up and he's pissed and he's like, what the hell's going on here?
Can we stop for one? No, for 1 second. Like before Michael gets there, Walt says something interesting to Locke. He's like, I saw it. I saw it in my mind's eye like it was real.
Mind's eye.
Yeah. And Locke responds, well, who's to say it wasn't? And it's just me knowing like this show. Sometimes it's easy to miss the little bits of dialogue that I think are really important in the show. And this one, for me, resonates that way.
I think you're right.
Yeah, right. And then, because again, it's just more of the Locke storyline, more of this. He just sees things differently than everyone else on the island, and he seems to be, kind of opening eyes, and so that's another moment.
In mind's
that I think
eyes
is
too.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah, I know exactly.
All right. Sorry, Christy. Go ahead.
That's okay. So at this point, Michael shows up and he's pissed and he's yelling, what the hell's going on? He takes the knife away from Walt and he's like, Walt, you need to leave. And then he starts yelling at Locke. And Locke's trying to tell Michael how well Walt did, but he's like, I don't want to hear it. If we were off the island, I would call the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't Locke, he actually looks genuinely proud and is trying to share the moment with Michael, and Michael is having none of it.
Yeah, Michael's just, I don't know. Michael's Michael.
Yeah. Very angry.
Yeah, he is a very, angry. And then, Locke says that, Walt knows his mind, and this makes Michael really angry. He starts swinging the knife around at Locke and tells Michael to calm, and Locke tells Michael to calm down. Like anyone has ever
Which is
calmed
the dumbest
down
thing.
in the history of someone telling them to calm down.
Yeah.
So then here comes, the little lapdog Boone, and he tackles Michael to the ground and takes the knife away.
And Michael says as much, what are you, his attack dog or something like that?
Yeah.
So Boone is like the little knight errant. Like he's just like this little scrappy helper.
Squire.
Yeah. So Locke breaks up the fight. And he tells Michael that the reason why Walt gravitates towards him is because he treats him like a man and Michael treats him like a little boy. So
I'm on Locke's side here.
Yeah.
Yep, me too.
I agree. Michael
especially after what he says
Walt's
next.
only 10.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, Locke is like, Walt has been through more than most people in their entire lives. And he tells Michael that Walt is different and should be allowed to realize his full potential.
Different.
The word different seems to really trigger Michael. And
it does.
It does.
Yeah, he tells Locke, stay away from me and stay away from my kid.
Yeah, it's interesting when he uses that word and Michael is so clearly pissed by it that you start to wonder what was going on with Walt when he wasn't on this island. Why would the word different bother him so much? Anyways, go ahead, Ben. You look like you want to say something.
Plus, when somebody says that we're going to help them realize their full potential, that generally has some very cult undertones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we referred to Locke as cultish last week as well, as he was getting Boone to realize his full potential, which was to let go of Shannon. Yeah, really.
Yep.
Yeah. Plus, Ethan's still skulking around the island, so we still know there's some Scientology Scientology interest on the island.
This is like an elaborate Scientology plan. They crash planes and then infiltrate the camp and convert everyone.
Exactly. They go in, they open the hatch up, and it's just one of those rooms where they do those, what are those? I don't know what they call them, the readings or whatever, where they put their hands.
It's called,
to determine how many thetans they have or something.
Yeah, some shit like
so
that.
Weird that I can't think
clear.
of it.
Yeah.
Auditing.
Auditing,
it's called auditing. Yeah.
So fucking weird.
Well,
Guy made a fortune, make it up a religion.
Yeah, that's exactly what L. Ron Hubbard said, and then he fucking did it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
if I didn't have any ethics or morality, I'd maybe do the same. But anyways.
Jared Leto has a cult following.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah.
And he's got the creepy Jesus look with the hair and the beard and all that.
Which is wild because, oh my God, did I want to lose my virginity to Jordan Catalano?
Oh, I mean, he's still hot. He's just a fucking creepy weirdo.
But back in the 90s days, that was...
Jordan Catalano.
Yeah. Anyway, I have no idea where we are in the show anymore.
I do.
Okay, perfect.
Right. So we have the lost title screen, and then we go into flashback number 2. So Michael is sitting on the floor and playing with baby Walt, and he's like, you're not taking him. You're not taking my son. And Susan is telling him about a job offer in Amsterdam and that she's thinking of taking it. Michael's like, I know we're having problems, but let's do counseling. You have a job here that you love. And then something in him kind of clicks and he realizes that she's already taken the job. And she makes it pretty clear that he is not welcome to come to Amsterdam with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering at first, I'm like, well, why don't they just go as a family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
he can paint in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are some famous Dutch painters, and yes, it is possible to paint.
Plus, they have a lot of things that could help them get inspiration.
Yeah.
in Amsterdam.
That's true.
I hear it's
That's
lovely
true.
there. And
It is
It
amazing
is
there.
It's
awesome.
an
I love
amazing
it.
city.
I only spent 10 hours there, but I loved it.
Ben and I did a few days there, and there were a couple days where we got up in the morning, we sat, in the outdoor cafes like you find all over Europe. It's one of my favorite fucking things about Europe. Have our coffee, and then we just got
walk.
up and walked for 14 hours. And the city is so walkable. It is so amazing. You just walk anywhere. There's there's museums, and there's restaurants, and the red light
Women who
districts,
stand
and,
indoors. And
yes, and just like the combination of historical and cultural sites with the sort of sordid, like underground. Is that the right word? Is it sordid or torrid?
Sordid.
It's sordid.
Sordid.
Thank you. God, I'm not good with fucking words. Anyways, the nightlife of it and the sort of underground and all that mixed together, it makes for an incredible city. And absolutely, you should go live there and be a painter. But clearly, that wasn't Susan's plan.
No, it's going to have to
Susan
go
was
through
like, no.
$20 billion, $2 billion of renovation over the next 20 years because it's sinking, and a lot of the buildings are starting to get really dangerous.
Well, when we were there in 2016, and they're kind of famous for row houses, almost in the same way Baltimore is, Christy. But in these
But
ones,
they're
like-
so
you'd be
much
like-
prettier than Baltimore.
well, yeah, but you'd have like straight up house, leaning house, straight up house, leaning house.
It's more than leaning. They're just like, you look at where they're built, and they just kind of do this because they're
it was like
constantly
zigzagging.
Yeah, baby. The podcasters or the listeners can't see what you're doing.
I get that. I get that.
Exactly.
They're doing this.
It's more than leaning. They like
Yeah, you're
they
right, you're
bend.
right. Yeah, it's really kind of weird to see, and I imagine on the inside of them would be very strange as well. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Especially when you're high.
which is another thing they have there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so back to Michael and Susan and Walt. She kind of makes it clear that it's really not a discussion. She's informing him. This is what's happening.
Bitch is cold, man. She's
Yeah,
cold.
Yeah,
Yes.
this bitch is not. She's bad. She's bad news, man.
Yeah, and she's like, I can provide for him. He's coming with me. And Michael's like, I'm gonna, sue you. And she's like, really? We're not married. I'm a lawyer. The courts are gonna side with me.
She says to him, one of the phrases as she's trying to talk to him, I think is probably like one of the worst things you could ever hear, which is, I still love you, but.
Yeah.
It's
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
oh no.
But.
that says a lot.
But I don't really.
Yeah,
Right.
but I don't actually. Yeah. That's what that means.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thanks for the cum shot, Michael. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You did your 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So she says it's not goodbye forever.
Lies.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
she's like, I just need some time. And Michael
Bullshit.
Across the Atlantic.
Yeah, you can see
And
that he's
space.
absolutely crushed because he knows that he's losing his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of a sad scene. But now we're back on the island in the caves. Michael is watching Walt sleep, and it's like a nice moment. And then Son comes up and asks if he's all right. And he's like, I just can't figure out how to talk to him because he missed his entire childhood. And then Michael is like, it just can't happen. He can't grow up here. So, Michael is having a real hard time with the fact that they're stuck on this island.
I'm feeling for him at this point because I can see what he's saying about like, well, the last time I saw him, he was 1 or 1.5. I missed his entire childhood. I don't know how to be his parent. And you really feel for him, but that even with all of those frustrations, he's still singly focused. Like, my kid is not going to grow up on this fucking island. And he really starts redeeming himself, where we've all found him mostly useless thus far.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except for cave, clearing out the cave in.
Right. And like the water filtration system. He's had a few moments, but for the most part, he's just been kind of useless. And you find out here, like, damn, he's actually a stand-up, decent guy who's like really trying to do the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he cares about his kid. He just doesn't know his kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really the big thing. So
right.
anyhow, we cut back to Saeed, and he's telling Jack that after using Shannon's translations, he was able to figure out that the equations represent latitude and longitude. Shannon's there too, and she is talking about the fish song and how it helped them figure out how to lay the maps to reveal a location. Saeed seems to think it shows a place on the island, but since it's not to scale, it's really, I don't know, impossible to pinpoint.
I'm wondering here, like, it seems like there's a whole lot of it's cryptic shit to figure out, like, how to lay these and put them together and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, Danielle's been alone for 16 years. Who's she trying to hide information from?
Exactly.
Right. That's kind of what I wonder, but I don't know. Maybe she's bored and just making up puzzles for fun. Who the fuck knows?
Probably. What else are you going to do?
Masturbate
and
a
then Michael
lot.
joins. Yeah.
Yep.
You've got to talk about masturbation in every single one of these.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love you.
At least 35% of the time.
Okay, so Michael joins the group and he's like, what are we doing now? Are we looking for another excuse to get run down and chased down and killed by whatever lives in the jungle?
I'm feeling him in that moment. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, he gets really worked up and he's like, this is crazy. He's pissed that they're building water filtration, playing golf, and making a home on the island. And he's like, I'm going to build a raft and get off this fucking island. So then he starts
I appreciate Michael in this moment. I am feeling him. I really am. But that's dumb as fuck because you can't survive on a raft in the middle of the ocean. You just
it's a terrible idea. Yeah.
No.
But he does talk about how he's going to build the raft and all the materials that they have from the wreckage and everything. Yeah. And he's like, I think I can do it. And then Saeed's like, I mean, do you think being out in the ocean on a raft is going to be better than being here? You know, like that's probably going to be harder. And then Shannon chimes in and she's like, I get seasick, but nobody cares, Shannon.
Yeah, seriously.
You know?
Aren't you dead?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah. Aren't you dead yet? And Michael's like, you know, if you guys want to die here, go ahead. My son and I are leaving. So now we cut to Walt. He's reading a comic book and it's got a polar bear on it. He's read this comic book before, but now he's trying to, you know, pronounce the Spanish words that are written up. And Michael,
polar.
Yep, that's what I heard. Also.
So Michael is like, you know, I need your help, Walt. And he's like, I'm busy doing stuff, you know?
He sounded just like that. So doing stuff.
Yeah, he's like, I'm doing stuff. And Michael's like, you can't read Spanish. And Walt's like, I like the pictures. So now Michael's intrigued, you know? He's like, oh, you like art? And, you know, he starts trying to talk to him about that. And Walt just is like, not interested. So
I don't want to be a starving artist like you, Dad.
Yeah, seriously. You and Thomas, bunch of losers.
Yeah.
So he grabs the comic book and he's like, come on, come with me.
I think he gives up. I think he gives up too quickly. Like you could see he was so encouraged that he liked the pictures and but he brings up perspective, which is, do you know about perspective? Of course not. He's 10.
Right.
Sit down and talk to him about it. Like I think he gives up too quickly in this scene. I feel like, but you know, it is what it is, I guess.
Because he's frustrated because he does not know how to be a dad.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're flashing back again. Flashback number 3. For some reason, Michael's on a payphone talking to Susan.
Payphone? Doesn't have a phone in his apartment?
Long distance to Amsterdam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you called her collect?
This was something that we had in the late 1900s.
Oh my God. When you posted that, the late 1900s, I feel so fucking old.
That's what the kids on TikTok call it. I'm like, God damn it, I was in high school in the late 1900s.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But yeah, I mean, clearly they're setting it up because he walks out into traffic, right? So he's not, he can't be on a cell phone. And if he's on a phone in his house, he can't walk into traffic. So he called Amsterdam from the payphone, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Plus, you can slam the receiver down. You can't do that with a cell phone.
No, you can't.
I miss that ability.
Yeah, I do miss slamming the phone down in anger.
I think I broke a couple phones doing that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anger management.
All right.
It's not the same when you're just pushing the end
button.
Yeah.
Beep. Got you.
Alexa, hang up.
Yeah.
Or just throwing your $800 phone at the wall and just be like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Did you just hear that? Alexa answered me. She said
I'm sure
she couldn't understand what I said.
Nosy bitch.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, yeah. So Michael's talking to Susan, and then he hears a male voice in the background, and that's when Susan admits that she's in a relationship with Brian Porter.
Brian Porter. It's Brian Porter.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Brian
Michael's
Porter.
like, oh, that's the guy who hired you, and he starts to get real pissed, and he's like, I'm coming to Amsterdam for Walt. He does that very, awesome slamming of the payphone. And then he storms out into traffic, and he looks to the left, but all the traffic is coming from the right.
I know,
it's like a one-way. Yeah, it's a one-way street, and he looked the wrong fucking way and just walked out, and then a car just like slams into him.
Good sound effect there.
Hey.
Is that what it sounds like?
Wow. Yeah, Christy's punching mics. All right.
Good sound effects.
Yeah, he literally, he did. He just walked right into a fucking car.
Fucking artist.
I get...
Yeah. Can't paint. Can't cross the street.
I mean, that's something that you learn in, kindergarten.
Yeah.
Anyway, back on the beach, Charlie is rifling through Claire's bags, because that's not weird. And he wants to know how they got there. And Kate's like, oh, I brought them. And he says he's looking for her diary. It's supposed to be in the side pocket. It's not there. Someone's taken it. And he knows that that's where she kept it because he saw her put it in there all the time. Back to Michael and Walt, and they're like digging through wreckage on the beach, and Michael's separating everything, and he starts to explain that they're going to need to build a frame. And Walt's like, what are we doing? And, what are we building? And he's like, you'll see. And then he's like, am I being punished?
It's such a 10-year-old thing to say. Yeah, it's pretty great. Totally. It might be punished.
And Michael's like, no, we're taking control of our destiny. And Walt's like, well, this feels like punishment. So
it's a cute scene.
It is a cute scene. So now we're back with Kate and Charlie, and they're headed to Sawyer because, if something's missing, you might want to go ask Sawyer if he happened to swipe it. And he sees them coming up, and he's like, what are you two selling today?
I like that line. Because it is kind of like that. This group of people that's been stranded on this island, what are we at, like day 27 or 26 or something? Yeah.
6.
And it has just been sort of like one scheme after the next, and a couple of people trying to talk the rest of them into whatever. So the what are you selling today is very appropriate and hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Charlie asks him for the diary. He just straight up is like, I want the diary. And he's like, oh, if anything goes missing, I must have it. And then he holds it up.
Exactly, because he's the one who's hoarding everything.
Yeah,
that's so
exactly.
fucking great.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not going to give it to you because you're going to read it. And then he pretends to read from the diary, and he's such an asshole. He's like, dear diary.
I thought this was
Getting
funny.
really freaked out. That has been pop star. I think he's stalking me. The limey little runt just won't let up. So Charlie, this shocked the hell out of me. Charlie just punched Sawyer in the chest. And
square in the fucking
Sawyer
chest.
drops the diary, and then Sawyer hits him back.
And I also love the sound effects of the punches. Like it sounds like a porterhouse hitting a cement floor. It's like,
So, they're fighting again.
That's what punches sound like.
Yeah.
They're fighting again. Kate breaks it up, and she's like, did you really read it? And he's like, just hadn't gotten around to it.
All right.
Pretty much. So now we're back with the wreckage, and Michael, he's like separating things into piles, and Locke and Boone walk past, but Michael doesn't see that. And Walt's like, I'm going to go get some water, and just kind of follows them into the jungle. Shannon comes out of nowhere, confronts Boone, and she's like, where's the boar? Her hair is beautifully shampooed despite being on day 27.
And of course, still no stains on her clothes.
Exactly.
She was killed by the monster.
Yeah, she's wearing like 4-inch dangly earrings and stuff.
She's still accessorizing.
Yeah.
I definitely noticed that. I actually made a note about
the earrings,
the dangly earrings. Yeah, they're great.
I actually think it's next week's episode, to tell you the truth, but she is wearing them. Because I think I wrote a note about it too, but I actually think it's next week.
Yeah.
Because it's a moment where Claire is confronting her, and that's not this episode.
Yes, that's exactly the right moment. You're right.
Yeah.
It's a place to put her ankles.
What? Oh, God.
Yeah, but, she's like, hey, we're hungry. We want boar. And he's like, you were bulimic for years. I would think that you would love to lose some weight. And she's like, I'm going to go help Michael build the raft. And you should come. And he's like, no. And he just walks away. And I'm like, yeah, because Shannon's going to be really helpful to Michael.
Yeah, I like how he doesn't really care
he's
about
like,
what Shannon's doing.
You're an idiot.
Yep.
I'm walking away from you. I've let go.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Yep. So
And you can actually see Locke in the background when he tells her off, and he's just like,
For the listeners,
I know people cannot see that.
I'm telling him. He's holding his thumbs up and looking thrilled.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we cut to Walt, and he's caught up to Locke, and Locke is like, we should not be talking, and Walt's like, Michael's not the boss of me, and I'm sitting there like, well, yes, he
yeah,
is.
like kind of.
Yeah.
He kind of is. Yeah,
he's like literally the boss of you. So, now Michael comes in hot. He sees Walt talking to Locke, and he just starts screaming. And Walt tries to explain, and Michael's like, I don't want to hear it. And Locke actually apologizes, and he was like, I just wanted to give you this pencil. I was giving it to Walt so he could bring it to you to help with the raft. And Michael's like, if I catch you with my son again, I'll kill you.
He should have said, because he gave him the pencil, he should, I'll erase your ass.
Oh my God.
That would have been amazing. If he actually held the pencil up, I will erase.
And just was like,
I will erase your ass.
I just think it's so ridiculous that he threatens to kill Locke because Locke is not afraid of you, Michael. You're an idiot.
Well, also, he literally refers to the pencil as a peace offering, and Michael's response is, I'll kill you. Like, take it down a notch, Michael.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, simmer down now. So they have like a little bit of a stare down. People are watching, and Locke walks away, and Walt starts screaming at Michael. He's like, you're a jerk. He's like, Locke's my friend. And you're not my father because you only showed up after my mother died.
Ouch.
And Michael tells Walt, he's like, you know what? You can hate me if you want to, but you will listen to me. And then he threw the comic book in the fire, and we watch it burn, thus proving that he is, in fact, a jerk.
And showed the polar bear again.
Yeah.
Right.
And
they showed the polar
Walt
bear.
shoots him a fucking death gaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's the first time that you see that kid, and you're kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
Little got a little scary look on his face.
He looks scary. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's different. Yeah.
That kid is a great actor.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah. He does a good job. Yeah.
So now Michael's in the hospital because, he got hit by the car. And he's, drawing a sketch of someone having a birthday in the hospital bed. And, he's sitting there in a wheelchair because his legs are all broken. And he tells the nurse that he's drawing for his son, who is going to turn 2 next week. But he doesn't know what to put inside. So she suggests a joke. And the joke is, what's black and white and red all over?
A disemboweled zebra.
Oh my God.
So that's what I first thought was too. I didn't think of a newspaper.
Well, that's a classic joke. What's black and white and red all over is a newspaper. That's why he
she says no. A penguin with a sunburn. And he's like, that's dumb. She's like, I know. But trust me, kids love it.
What's funny about last week, we talked about penguins because I said Boone's eyebrows look like an emperor penguin. I wasn't even thinking about how there were penguins in this week's episode when I said that. Anyways.
Suddenly Susan walks in. Oh, suddenly
what's
Susan.
interesting?
That was a TV show. Suddenly.
Yeah, it was. What's funny, actually, we've been referring to her as Susan this entire episode, but this is actually where you find out that's her name. She's nameless until she walks in and he says, hello, Susan.
Yep. Oh. That is true.
Yeah. Anyway.
Before that was just bitch.
Just evil bitch.
Heartless.
I feel like Susan is a little bit below Karen.
She's like Karen in training. Got
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, she walks in and she had to find out about the accident by calling a friend of theirs because he didn't even bother to call her.
And we find out it's been like 2 months at this time,
2 months,
right?
man.
Why is he still in the hospital? He doesn't need to be in the hospital. He's got a broken leg. He doesn't need to be in the hospital for 2 months, but whatever.
Exactly. They would have put him in some kind of place other than a hospital.
I'm
Like
sure he
his
doesn't have
house.
insurance,
Yeah, he doesn't have insurance, so he probably was not, in a, anyway. So yeah, she's like, yeah, I left him at home with Brian. And then Michael tells her, it's going to take at least a year of physical therapy. And she's like, I've already arranged it. I'm covering all your bills.
The moment she says this, I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah, what's the motive?
What?
Yeah,
Why are you doing
what's
this?
the catch?
yeah,
And he
I love
basically,
you, but
yeah,
exactly. I'm paying your bills, but
yeah. So he is like, why? I don't trust that. And she finally admits to him that she's going to marry Brian, and she wants him to allow Brian to adopt Walt. They're moving to Italy. He's just in shock, and she begs him to think of what's best for Walt, who really only knows Brian as a father because Walt was only one when she took him.
and you know what? This bitch has got some fucking nerve because
She does.
Mm-hmm.
the thing that's fucked up about it is technically she's right. She's right. It's that this guy is the only one that has been raising Walt, and splitting that relationship would be traumatic. And she's not wrong, but like
But it's all her
using
fault
that
this
right.
is
The
this
fact that
situation.
she like constructed this situation and then uses it against him as a weapon is really fucked up because she knows he's going to do the right thing and sign it over. And it's just like, it just feels like one big manipulation. And that's why I question if it was that from the beginning. Right. But anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, we're back in the caves. Hurley tells Michael that, Walt just grabbed Vincent and took off. And Michael's like, I know where he's gone. And so he, of course, goes to Locke. Locke and Boone are in the jungle. Locke's sharpening his knife because, you've got to be.
Because why not?
Yeah.
yeah.
What else?
Do with knives,
What
you're not
else
using
you
them,
doing?
sharpen them.
Yeah.
Right. And Michael approaches and he's like, where the hell is Walt? And Locke's like, look, I told Walt this morning that he cannot be around me anymore. I'm trying to respect your wishes, and Walt is not here. And then you kind of see that Michael slowly realizes if he's not here, I don't know where Walt is.
It's a devastating moment when you see that come over his face. Like, oh, shit.
Yeah. So then Locke's like a good guy, and he gets up and he's like, let's go find your boy.
Yeah.
Attaboy, Locke.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like Michael was threatening to fucking kill him, and he's still going to help him find his kid. So yeah, Locke is he's the stand-up guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did I make a joke I don't realize?
Yes, Locke, a stand-up guy.
The wheelchair.
The wheelchair.
Walkabout.
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
Ooh, that went way over her head.
So far over your head. How did you miss that?
I said it and it went way over my head. God damn it.
Oh,
Unintentional funnery. That's amazing.
Yes.
All right. Let's just get through this episode. I'm depressed now.
So Kate and Charlie are walking back to the caves, and he's like, thank you for helping with Sawyer, but I think I could have handled him myself. And I'm like, no, I don't think you could have, Charlie.
No.
Nope.
Yeah. And then he's like, I barely know Claire, but I'm really sad that she's gone. I miss her. And Kate says that she thinks that it's right that Charlie should keep her stuff safe until she gets back, and then she walks away. So now we see Charlie reach for the diary.
What? Before we get to this hilarious fucking scene.
It's so great.
This moment between Kate and Charlie, it's like, it's so sweet and it's so genuine, but knowing that they were a couple in real life, all I could do was picture them fucking.
Oh.
Anyways, so let's move on. I just had to share that. I bet it looked good. That's my fantasy.
Isn't she like a foot taller than him?
I doubt that much taller. But what? So what? Tall women and short men can't look good fucking? I disregard your premise. It's false. It's false.
Okay.
All right.
Derek's considering this premise.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so Charlie has the diary and he opens it and then he like slams it shut. Then he opens it again and then he puts it down. Because he's like, I shouldn't read it. And then he picks it back up again. He reads a little bit of a page and he like bites the book.
He totally does bite it.
Yeah. And he sets it back down and then he puts it in a zipped pocket and zips the bag. And then he puts another bag on top of that. Because he had to keep himself from reading the diary.
That was funny.
It's a really funny scene. Yeah.
It was good. But now we're with Walt and Vincent in the jungle. And Vincent starts to get upset and growls. He starts barking and lunging. And I think he like snapped his collar and just runs off into the jungle.
Yeah,
once again, Walt has a taste for human blood.
Yeah.
Not Walt, Vincent.
Vincent,
yeah. He disappears into a puff of smoke.
Exactly. You see Shannon's body just goes flying by through the frame. Good boy.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah, babe?
Got any special occasions coming up that you need a card for?
Is this a trick question?
No, it's an advertisement.
Is this about barbcards.com again?
Bingo.
So I suppose you're going to remind me that each handmade card is only $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't come with busy backgrounds or flowery poetry.
You got it. Barbcards.com offers to-the-point communication within several different categories, including our favorite, potty mouth. And if you can't find what you want, barbcards.com can do customizations.
Can I still get all of my cards for no more than $4 shipping, no matter the size of the order?
You know it. Barbcards.com has got all you need. Hey, Ben.
Oh my God, what are we selling now?
Merch.
Our merch?
Yes, sir. Shirts, coffee mugs, wine tumblers, bottle openers, stickers, magnets, and more. Your choice of product and your choice of Space Bear Media graphic from any of our podcasts.
Please tell me we're not making merch now, too.
Of course not. We'll stick to podcasts, and Pixis products will do the rest.
Thank God. I bet you have more to say, though.
Sure do. Pixis Products is a small business run by a local mom, well, local to us anyway, who needed something else to do besides being a snack bitch.
What?
A snack bitch, also known as a mom with a young child.
There's still more, isn't there?
Yepers! Pixis Products works with other small businesses for supplies, art, and other collaborations at every opportunity, including ours. In fact, Pixis Products even gave Space Bear Media our own storefront on their site. You can find us at shopspacebear.com.
Say what?
You heard me. Go to shopspacebear.com and buy something.
Well, and then this was really stupid. When Vincent ran off, Walt chased him, but he dropped the leash.
Yeah, he doesn't pick it up. Yeah.
What are you going to fucking do when you get to the dog? You need the leash.
Ride him home.
Yeah.
Okay, back to a flashback. And Walt and Vincent are laying on the floor in this like really beautiful house. And you can hear Susan in the background talking about, you know, being new to Australian law. So now we know that they live there. Mom tells Walt that he needs to be working on his homework. And he's like, I don't really care about Birds of Australia. That's like, because that's his homework.
We're in Australia.
Yeah. He's like,
he does. We're in Australia.
Shouldn't I learn about birds of Egypt?
Yeah, I don't understand that logic. I feel like I learned about North American birds as a kid.
Yeah.
Whatever.
As a
learn
weeblo.
about what's around you, especially in Australia. In Australia, you want to know all of the critters because they are all trying to fucking kill you in Australia.
Yeah, that's true.
God damn it, Walt. Do your fucking homework.
Exactly.
Seriously.
So, yeah, do your homework. And then Susan kind of almost stumbles. And you can see that she's in pain. And she's like, I feel a little fluey. In the background, Walt is like yammering about the bird that he's going to do a report on. And Mom and Brian are just not paying attention to him. They're having a conversation about, her being overworked and she needs to take a break. And Walt keeps going, Brian, look, you're not looking, in the annoying way that children do that.
Yeah, and he looks kind of angry, and he sounds a bit angry. Yeah.
That Brian's not paying attention. So each time he says it, he gets more angry. And then all of a sudden we hear some wings flapping and there's like a bang on the window and a bird like crashed into it. And now there's a dead bird.
Wings flapping on a little bird outside your window.
Yeah.
It did sound like the bird was in the room with the volume of the flap, but
yeah. So
I feel like volume of the flap.
Volume of the flap.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yikes.
I'm actually going to stop talking for the rest of this.
I almost feel like that's a couple of words that you would pull out from like a Weight Watchers manual or something.
I think it's a good band name.
Volume of the flap.
Volume of the flap. It's like
wow,
all girl band.
Yeah.
Oh God.
See, now I'm thinking of like Arby's roast beef and shit.
I'm thinking of like vaginal rejuvenation. It's like, with the volume of flap, we're gonna have to charge you more.
Yeah. You're gonna cut that off with the Sawzall.
Oh God.
I do have some flaps that like to hang, but I swear to God they don't make noise.
Thank you for sharing.
I'll post some pictures on the Facebook page.
There you go.
Anywho, back to the little bird-killing psycho.
Yeah, there's a dead bird outside. The music gets all ominous, and Brian looks at Walt like he's afraid of him. Like he gives him that kind of side eye.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, you definitely get the feeling that Brian thinks Walt killed that bird for whatever reason. I'm left thinking like, okay, so Claire's fetus is going to be like an evil son of a bitch if she doesn't raise him, and Walt kills birds with anger.
He's got the shine.
And also, Walt has like no reaction to it. He's just like, oh, big deal. Turns around, goes back.
Yeah, that's a clue when you're 10 and you're not concerned with the death of animals normally. That's a sign.
Of something.
It's not good. Anyway.
Yeah, so anyway, now Walt is like stomping around the jungle looking for Vincent. He hears some stomping and some growling, and then he realizes that is not a dog that he's hearing.
That's right, it's Vincent.
Yeah.
It's Vincent the smoke dog.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in another flashback. And
this is another one of those episodes where it's like the rapid, we're on the island, we're flashback, we're on the island, we're flashback, and it's just building and it gets really intense. I think there's a total of 8 flashbacks, which is actually a lot for an episode.
There's a lot going on in this one. So there's a knock on the door and Michael answers, and there's this white man standing by his door. And he's like, "Are you Michael Dawson?" And then he tells Michael that he's Brian Porter.
Me.
And you can see that Michael is not happy that Brian Porter is standing at his door. So he tells Michael that Susan died. She was only sick for about a week, but she had a rare blood disorder.
That has rare blood disorder. Another way of saying bitch had no heart.
Yeah.
Well, it did seem that way, didn't it?
Yeah. So
surprised that she stayed alive that long then.
Seriously.
Without a heart, but okay.
Yeah. So Michael's like, well, where's Walt? And he's like, oh, he's at home in Australia. And Michael gets really pissed that Brian left him alone.
I think I would too.
Yeah.
He was with his nanny.
Well, yeah, but
Rich,
Yeah, but that's not apparent. So
No.
I know.
And, his mom just died and whatever. So Brian tells Michael that before Susan died, she said that she wanted Walt to go to Michael. But then he confesses that that's not the truth. He just doesn't want Walt. He never did. He wanted Susan. Susan was a package deal. She forced him to adopt Walt. And then he tells Michael
this
that Walt
fucking
is
bitch
Forces everybody to
fucking
do shit they
bitch
don't want to do.
manipulating everyone around her all the time. Fuck this bitch.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming around to I don't really like her, and I think that she's not a good person.
Are you
She's
wondering?
awful.
Are you wondering if it was the plan from the beginning now? Because it's hard not to. Because every other step along the way feels like a manipulation. So why wouldn't that first one be as well?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
You know what I
I'm coming
mean?
around to that theory, definitely.
All right.
So, he's like, Walt is different, and stuff happens when he's around. And this is so stupid. He hands Michael a one round trip ticket to Australia and another one way, back to LA for Walt plus traveling money. If you wanted Michael and Walt to be together, why didn't you just
bring him?
Walt
I know.
with you?
Yeah.
So
Well,
dumb.
because then they wouldn't be
Yeah.
on
Then they wouldn't be on the island.
Flight 815.
Right.
But
Exactly.
Yeah. I have to.
But yeah,
you
In
know,
a big plot hole.
it's the little things that you have to let go.
yeah.
Right. Like Jack's dad, of all the places he had to go, to mourn the end of his career, it was Australia. Like, why? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there are little things like that don't make sense just to get them all on the plane.
Like where Shannon met this guy and she moved to Australia with him.
Right. Yeah. But anyways.
Yep.
She seems kind of to me like a shitty Alexis Rose.
Oh, how funny. Right. Because she talks about like that she's always off doing
She's
whatever.
gallivanting to different places with different rich men and, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but she's endearing. Shannon is a stupid bitch.
Yeah. I love Alexis Rose. I'm not.
Yes.
Don't have any problems with her. So Michael and Locke are looking for Walt, and Michael finds the dropped leash. And then he hears Walt screaming for help. And Michael and Locke both take off running. And then we have another flashback. This is flashback number 7. There are a lot. So anyway, Michael has arrived at Walt's ridiculous fucking giant mansion in Australia.
And there's some really, really, really cool camera work in this sequence right here. Like the way this starts out. The camera work in the hallway is really, really great. And then later on when Michael's like he's standing there, there's just this other really, really amazing shot. I'll shut up, but I think the camera work was great in this scene.
I think I know exactly the shot you're talking about. It's when he opens the box, which we haven't quite gotten to yet, but the camera comes from the floor up and he's standing in this octagon room and there's like the spoke pattern on the top of the ceiling. Yeah, it's a really incredible shot.
Yeah.
So anyway, the nanny greets him, hands him a package of Susan's things, which came from Brian. Also, why didn't Brian bring those to New York? And then she hands him a wooden box, and she says that this is something that Walt should have. And when Michael opens the box, he finds every letter that he ever wrote to Walt unopened.
So can we appreciate this moment for just a second? Because he has now agreed, even though he has no legal responsibility for any of this, he could have just walked away. He's agreed to come there for the benefit of his son. It's got to be already a moment of like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to, see him again. And then he finds out the kid has no idea who he is. He's never seen a letter. He's probably never heard of him. And now he realizes he's showing up blind out of nowhere as like, we have no connection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's horrible and depressing and sad for him. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of shitty of Susan to do that.
I'm so glad the bitch is gone.
So shitty. Yep.
Yeah. So back on the island, Walt is still screaming, and he's hiding in one of those groves that everyone seems to hide in. And
the ones I had thought were good housing and immediately was shot down in last episode. Giving that up.
Right. And now we see a polar bear. And I know that this was 17 years ago, but the CGI work on that
so
was
terrible.
terrible.
It's so bad.
Horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like how they even had to keep the camera constantly shaking so that you couldn't like lock on to how bad the CGI was.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, they did what they could at the time, I suppose.
Yeah. So Michael and Locke decide to climb a tree and walk across this like very convenient downed tree.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like a balance beam, so
Just happened
that
to be
so that they can get above Walt, who's like still screaming for help. And this
is an intense scene. It's part of
yeah.
what I thought, like the kid's acting, like he was killing it as being scared.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
He did a good job of being terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could barely bear to watch it.
Oh my fucking God.
You said it was intense.
Did you not hear what he said, Derek?
He
said he couldn't bear it.
Oh, God, I missed that.
Oh, that's great.
I was behind. I was behind the count, but I did get a pun in before it was all said and done.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so meanwhile, back in Australia, Michael walks out onto this beautiful patio with this pool, and Walt is, sitting there playing with Vincent. Michael says hello and tells Walt that he's his father. He's like, I'm really sorry that your mom died. I don't think that he's really sorry.
Your mom was a malignant cunt.
He tells him a few lies in this scene.
Yes, he does.
Yep.
And it kind of makes me like Michael more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Even though he's lying, it's good. So anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So then he tells Walt that, your mom and I were really in love when we had you.
But
I think that it was more one-sided, to be honest. And Walt's like, where's Brian? And Michael tells him that Brian's gone and Walt needs to go with him to the U.S. And Walt's like, I'm not going anywhere with you, which,
is the appropriate result. Response. Yeah.
Yeah. Ridiculous. So now Michael lies and he says that Brian loves him and wants him, but that Michael is the guardian and that Brian has no say. And he tells Walt that he can keep his dog. Walt's like,
I kind of love that they steal the dog.
I do too. Yeah. I absolutely do. He's like, you can keep your dog. And Walt's
Brian wouldn't care about that dog anyway.
Yeah. He's like, Vincent's Brian's dog. And he's like, well, Brian said you could keep Vincent. I love that lie.
I love
that
it too.
Yoink.
That gives Michael extra points of just like quick and brutal revenge.
Yeah. So back in the jungle, the bear is still trying to get to Walt. Locke drops a knife down to him, and they're like, if the bear gets through, stab him.
That's not going to work.
Okay.
Come on.
Stab that giant bear.
Yeah. If those giant paws come through with those huge, claws on them, try to stick them with a knife.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
So,
a polar bear paw is like the size of your face.
Yeah. Reach out with a knife and your arm's going bye-bye.
So Michael's climbing down to Walt, and Walt stabs the bear's paw, and it goes quiet for a minute. And Michael starts tying vines around Walt, and then Locke starts pulling him up.
Yeah, sure. Did you notice how the vine is around him? It's like casually laying across his back. There's no tension in it whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
like,
great.
Okay.
I think the scene had enough
vines.
tension in it.
Well, okay.
All right. So Locke is pulling Walt up, and the bear breaks through. Michael picks up the knife and stabs the bear in the chest, and the bear runs away. It's so ridiculous.
And it makes some kind of noise. There's like, and then like runs off.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous moment.
Poor
I loved
CGI
it.
and all.
Yeah. So now Michael climbs up the tree, and they're all safe. So that's nice. And
Michael's like, get the fuck away from my son.
Yeah.
And he stabs Locke in the chest. I told you not to come near him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely did not happen. It's actually a nice moment.
It is a really beautiful moment. I love this moment because Michael and Walt hug, and Walt looks really, really happy, like he feels safe, with Michael. I thought that was a great moment. Yep. And then he starts apologizing, because Vincent has run off again. And Locke is like, Vincent found his way back once. He'll find his way back again. Michael and Locke share a look. Yeah. And this was a lovely moment, too. They share a look. They both nod their heads. And they both have a little smile. So
and they both lick their lips a little bit.
Yep. Remember back when you were a weasel? Remember that Scoutmaster?
Oh, shit.
Oh, okay. So nighttime on the island. Walt's leaning on some wreckage by a fire, and Michael sits down and gives him the wooden box with all the letters. And he said, since you like to look at pictures, you'll probably enjoy the drawings that I did for you. And Walt seems so surprised that Michael had been writing to him. Yeah. He's like, I never saw the letters, and, why didn't my mother give them to him?
She's a bitch.
Yeah.
Because, son, your mother was a cunt.
Yes. A raging cunt.
So, Michael's like, I don't know, but she kept them. So it's a sign that she wanted you to have them.
Yeah, he sort of has a point, I guess.
Yeah, but still
a cunt.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah.
A dead cunt.
Oh my God. So can we just marvel at the casting in this scene when they're sitting next to each other and they're talking back and forth?
They
this
really
kid looks like he could really be his son. The way that their faces are shaped, the way their mouths are shaped, and the way they move when they talk, it's wild how much they actually look alike, which I find great. But anyway.
Yeah, so Walt opens the letter from earlier and he reads the penguin joke and he's like, that's dumb. And Michael's like, yeah, that's what I said. But it's really sweet. It's really a nice moment between the two of them. So back to the caves. Charlie's sitting there reading Claire's diary and twirling his hair.
Yeah, he really was.
That was kind of adorable. And he had a smile on his face. And you can see where it says that she realized that she likes Charlie. And, there's something about him that's just so adorable and sweet. And, he's so cute there twirling his hair.
It's all true. He is kind of adorable.
Yeah, it is adorable. Yeah. She's like, even in this scary place, Charlie makes me feel safe. So he smiles and turns the page, and then his face changes and the music begins to be ominous, and he slams the book shut and runs off for Jack. So he comes up to Jack and Saeed, and he tells them that they both need to hear this. And it's something from Claire's diary. And Saeed is like, you're reading her diary? Charlie's like, yeah, I know, but you need to hear this. I'm bloody scum. Just listen. And
I forgive him, though. I honestly forgive him. I can get it. I mean, they're in so much trauma, and he finally had a connection with somebody, and now she's gone, and she very well might be dead. And he just is looking for a connection with her. And so I forgive him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he cares that I...
Yeah.
But I am. Anyway.
Okay, so he's reading from the diary, and so Claire had written, I had that weird dream again. The one with the black rock I can't get away from. I tried to leave, but it won't let me.
Black rock.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jack tells Charlie that she's just writing down her dreams. And that's when Charlie and Saeed tell Jack that Danielle had mentioned the black rock and that it's a real thing or place. And Saeed says, Danielle told him that her team had returned from the black rock, and suddenly it dawns on him what that
light bulbs.
Yeah. You can totally see the realization, So Charlie hopes that maybe that's where Claire was taken. Maybe they can find her. And Jack's like, I'm not running off into the jungle in the middle of the night,
Yeah. Sorry, Chuck.
Yeah. So then we cut to Locke and Moon out in the jungle in the middle of the night. And Locke's blowing the dog whistle, trying to get Vincent. Leaves start to rustle as he's blowing the whistle, and they call out for Vincent. The music becomes super scary, and it sounds like something horrible is like, popping out of the jungle. And then pushing her way through, whoops.
There goes that microphone again.
Sound effects. So pushing her way through the bushes, a bloody, wet motherfucking Claire shows
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then
holy shit.
The end of the episode. Dun, dun, dun.
I was expecting, like, as the title card came up, I would expect it, the dingo ate my baby.
We have yet to confirm there are dingoes on this island. The polar bear maybe ate her baby.
It's true.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's it. That's fucking intense. It's an intense ending. It's what I was talking about earlier. I lost my shit because I had forgotten that's how the episode ended. And I definitely screamed out loud. Let's start off with some fun facts about penguins.
Bloody penguins?
No. So here's what I did. I looked up whether or not a penguin can get a sunburn. And the answer is yes, they absolutely can. And that is why you will see penguins when they waddle, they hold their flippers to the front of them. They are actually covering their feet to keep them from getting sunburned.
Huh.
Wow.
I know, right. So while I looked up that fun fact, I grabbed a few more about penguins. They spend 75% of their life in the water. There are 17 different kinds of species. The majority of them, unfortunately, are endangered because of climate change. Penguins sleep standing up. They are fully carnivorous. And they will absolutely mate for life, including homosexual couples who will adopt eggs from straight couples who cannot take care of them.
And they
will raise the penguins. And
Jesus don't like that.
No. Jesus says death to the penguins.
Yeah.
Oh my
marriage is
God.
between a male penguin and a female penguin. That's what the penguin marriage is.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, all of the women, they still dress in the tuxedos. So
That's
even
true.
the females are pretty androgynous in the penguin world.
That's true.
Yeah.
Penguins, they're ahead of their time, the penguins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
other birds, like the male is usually more like ornate, but not
right, yeah.
birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all just wear tuxedos. So one other thing I just want to tell the listeners, just for some fun, when you're done with this, go to Google and Google Benedict Cumberbatch. It's really... It's really funny that people make fun of his name, but I just can't actually pronounce it. Google Benedict Cumberbatch can't say penguin. It's one of the funniest things you'll see on YouTube. I'm doing you a favor.
All right.
Let's move on. Best and worst moments. Let's do Derek first.
The best moment was Michael saving Walt, and then after he saved him, the hug, the bonding that they had, finally, Walt feels safe with Michael.
Yeah.
That Michael can protect him. And the worst moment was when Susan took Walt.
Yeah.
Basically started this whole, thing of losing 9 years of, father-son.
All
She's
right.
just a cunt.
Yes. Ben? How about you?
My favorite moment was when Michael gives Walt the cards and he reads the joke. Reads a joke about the penguin. He looks at him and says, "That's dumb," because obviously, Michael said the exact same thing. So that's just kind of a nice. That's a very nice moment. The worst was when Susan shows up at the hospital and says, "I'm going to pay for all your bills," and butters him up, and then immediately is like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we want to adopt him, and you basically have to, you basically just have to give up your son completely because I've cornered you." It just, to me, shows that she is just a fucking awful, self-serving person.
Yeah, she's bad. My favorite moment is when Walt is given the letters and he realizes that his father has cared about him for his entire life, which was something that he didn't know before. And I'm sure that is a big moment for him. I did have a very, very close second, though, which was when Locke said, "Let's go find your boy."
Yeah.
Because it just kind of follows up the way he, spoke to Boone with like, "Let's go do what we're doing," and he's just very commanding, and I appreciate that.
Well, and he was also showing Michael, I'm not an asshole. Let's go find your boy. I will help you, even though you've been a dick to me.
Yep.
Yeah. My worst moment is when you find out that Brian was actually forced into adopting Walt, because up until then, I understand, the argument that I made before was that what she said to Michael was correct. You have to do what's best for Walt, and this is the only father he knows. And I agreed with that. And then to find out that the only father that he knows doesn't want him is just like devastating.
Well, and here's another weird thing. He called him Brian instead of Dad.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
He was 1 year old when they got together and moved in. He was 1, maybe 2. Either way, by then,
you'd think that he would just call him Dad.
Start calling their step parent Dad.
Yeah,
I imagine
Brian.
him at like 2 years old, and Brian's like, "You can call me Papa," and then he just kind of looks over at him and goes, Brian. He's like, I don't want to keep this kid because he will not say my fucking name.
Brian Porter.
He will not call me father.
Father. Okay. Where were...
Was
that's
it
my
like,
worst. Christy,
will you call me Mr. Huxtable? He's like, oh, that's the line. No, what was it? Wasn't Mr. Huxtable. It was
You're referring
what
to
I'm
Family
talking about.
Guy.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Christy. Best and worst.
Okay. My best. I did love the hug between Walt and Michael, and the letters when Michael gave the letters to Walt. But I think Claire is back was kind of, a great moment at the end.
Yeah.
My worst moment was when Michael threw away Walt's comic book.
Oh, yeah, that's
just
pretty
mean.
Brutal. Yeah.
Threw the fire,
It was a really big dick move. So,
what about your best and worst characters and your kill?
Favorite character this episode is Locke. Least favorite character, I know most of you will say Susan, but I say Brian fucking Porter. I want to kill the polar bear. Sure. It doesn't belong there. And I want to fuck Sawyer because he looks particularly good in this episode when they go up to him about the diary. He just looked really yummy.
So this is really funny. I'm going to say similar things about different characters. So my best character this week is Michael, although I did have Locke as a close second. Because Michael, like, no matter what was thrown at him, he continued to make the best decision for his son. I also picked Brian Porter as the worst because, although Susan was horrible and manipulative, the fact that he took responsibility for a child he didn't want, that's too much for me.
No, he wasn't taking responsibility is the shitty thing.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean by took responsibility was adopting him.
Yeah.
And so he took the responsibility that he didn't want, which is that's just horrible. I'm killing Susan because what the fuck, bitch, you're awful. And here's the funny thing. So I'm fucking Boone this week. And I wrote down because he looks really good leaning against those trees.
Awesome.
So I think did I bang Boone 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, I think you had a threesome with him and Locke a while back.
Oh, that was a few episodes ago. Yeah.
Boone twice in a row.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Gonna get a little boom.
Ben, what are your rankings?
I have got, obviously Michael in the top slot. He showed, selflessness and an immediate sort of attempt to kind of cushion the blow when his son died by, lying as he did, but trying to just cushion things a bit more because it is his son. So I really liked that. The worst was Susan, and she is fucking despicable. I think she is one. I think she might be the most despicable character we've seen so far. I put her up there beyond Ethan at this point, because at least Ethan, he's just sort of he's just a guard dog doing his duty, right? Like,
yeah, but you don't. You're only saying that because you know his story.
She's vicious. She's just vicious.
He's bad.
Yeah, I killed Brian Porter because, again, like, he's just whatever, fuck him. But I didn't fuck anybody this episode. This episode kind of made my penis soft. So,
oh my god.
I just couldn't.
Just a flaccid episode for you.
Yeah,
So the brother-sister episode didn't make your penis soft, but Michael's did. You have a thing against Michael.
There was no. I mean, it isn't against Michael at all. I mean, the sister fucking episode. I was fucking Sun in that episode.
Oh, that's
of all
true.
all the gardening and all the seeds and plowing and all that stuff.
Right.
This has nothing to do with Michael, and it has nothing to do with incest. It is merely that I did not find this a particularly sexy episode.
Not sexy like it should be.
Not sexy like it should be, Jack.
Derek, what are your rankings?
Best character this episode is Michael for all the shit he went through. He ended up getting his son and saved his son on the island. Worst was Susan for just being a horrible person. And I agree with Ben, one of the absolute worst in the series so far, just for all the manipulation she did.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like Ben. I really didn't have anyone to fuck, but I picked someone, so I picked Kate, just because she's my go-to girl.
Yeah.
She's my girl. Okay.
Old reliable.
Yeah, old reliable. And I wanted to kill Susan, but she's already dead, so I chose Ethan because, when I saw Claire come out of the jungle looking like she did, I just wanted to kill that motherfucker.
All right. Ben, can you update us on the rankings? I am curious as to how Michael has moved.
I can. I don't think Michael is actually the interesting thing this week. We actually, for the first time since we started doing power rankings, and I actually looked back from the first episode, Kate has been in the lead. This week, she shares the number 1 slot with Locke.
Ooh.
And I guess, Locke has gotten a lot less fucking going on. Let's face it. You're the only one that's fucked him, Lacy. And he is now tied. So as a character, he seems to be on the highest trajectory right now.
I did fuck him. I had a threesome with he and Boone, but now that he's tied with Kate, I think I need to have a threesome with them.
There you go. Lock down the power. So that moves Jack into second place, and that actually opens up a slot where
I just heard it. He said lock down the power. I missed it until Christy laughed.
So third favorite, Sun pulls into the top 3.
Wow. Okay.
And then at the bottom, we still have Shannon. She's almost more than doubled everyone else. She's really down there.
Wow.
We still have Sawyer at the second bottom, and despite everything, Michael is still in the bottom 3. Yes.
Was there any movement though? Is he further away from them?
Yeah. It's getting really, really close where he's going to start. As long as he's not a dick, he should pull out of the bottom 3.
As long as he's not a dick.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, awesome. So let's get some final impressions.
As long as he's not a dick, he should pull out of the bottom.
I fucking told you 35% of our conversation is dirty.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some final impressions. Christy, we'll start with you.
Well, Walt's got the shine.
Clearly,
it was a really good episode. Why their relationship, between Michael and Walt is so strained. And then the growth between the two of them and the bonding and Walt finally feeling safe with Michael. And that's all that any kid wants from their parent, is to feel safe and loved. And I think that he got that this time. So,
All right. I'll go next. I think it's a great episode. I think it's really interesting episode. In part because of Walt and Michael's relationship getting better, but mostly just kind of because the story it shows more of it's nothing is as it seems, and the characters as we know them are not who they really are, which is an interesting lesson in humanity. And then again, Locke is just killing it. He just keeps doing, showing himself to be a leader and resourceful and respectful, and like he's just keeps looking better and better every episode. The one thing I really, really love, though, is that there is now some mystery surrounding Walt as a character. And I think that is great. Ben?
I thought this was you get a much better sense in this one of why there is such a gap between Michael and his son. Like, at first you think, oh, he's just a shitty father, but then you find out from this episode that one, Walt never really knew of him as a father, and two, like he had been held out of his, like systematically removed from his son's life by that bitch Susan. And then you find out that, like, Brian doesn't even really want him. So it kind of shines a light on why they are such strangers, and why at this point Michael is just completely ill-equipped to be a father, because this was a situation that, like, they've known each other for 3 weeks at this point, basically.
Yeah.
So I think it was a really, really good episode of kind of putting a frame around Michael that you had not seen before, and somewhat overdue, especially when you look at it from a power rankings perspective. Because if you had this, this look earlier, you might not hate Michael so much. So I'm still waiting for him to start making some fucking shoes for the people on the island. But other than that, I think I really liked this episode. It was a little more difficult to riff on. Honestly, there wasn't as much riff material on this one, but it was a really good episode. I enjoyed it.
You found your way, babe.
Yeah, I did.
All right, Derek. Final impression and lasting questions.
Yeah, I really like this episode too. I mean, it did explain the whole disconnect between Michael and Walt. I also liked, that Michael doesn't hate Locke as like he did in the beginning of the episode. He was going to kill him, and now he's like, hey, they shared that glance. Also, it's just overall it's a real good episode. And so my my biggest question is, where the fuck was Claire?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, where the fuck was Claire? I thought you were going to bring up the Black Rock again. But
I did. I mean, that was one of my other questions, but I think I'd already asked it, so it's still sitting there in the question queue.
You're right. It did come up earlier. That's true. Okay, so where the fuck is Claire? Well, to be quite honest, I can't exactly remember when that question is answered, Derek, but you will find it out. Yeah, and more about the Black Rock. It's interesting. I was thinking more about this, and here's a fun tidbit. Ben told me he forgot what the Black Rock is, and he will not let me tell him.
Yes.
But yeah, you do find out. The interesting thing about that storyline is you're going to find out what the Black Rock is a hell of a lot sooner before you understand its significance. So, yeah. So next week... It's my episode. I'm going to be giving you a little Charlie in an episode called Homecoming, and it's number 15 already. All right, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacy J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trim. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook to interact with your hosts. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube to watch our episode pre-shows. You can also find us at SpaceBear_media on Instagram and Twitter. Or come to our website, spacebearmedia.com.